Welcome to the World of Warcraft Items and Professions panel. Where we're going to be talking about items and professions. Here they come. Lead designer Tom Chilton, John McCraft, and Travis Day.
Oh my God, that's right.
Hey! So, as Mike said, I'm John McCraft. I'm a game designer on the Profession team. Right now, that team consists of me and a lot of enthusiastic feedback from the entire company and all of you guys. So just wanted to go over a few things about Professions before we go more in detail on items. Wanted to talk about the creative design process we go through when we're adding a recipe to the game. Wanted to talk about some of our design philosophies specific to Professions as we move forward with Wrath of the Lich King. And finally, I wanted to show you some cool new stuff that's coming up. So as you can see, we have a lot of recipes in the game already. That's a pretty rough breakdown, not super accurate, but pretty close. I think we added probably a third of those recipes for Burning Crusade, and we'll add that many again for Wrath of the Lich King. So let's go ahead and look into what it takes to add one of those recipes to the game. Because it's kind of a series of questions that we do, and has a certain order. First thing we ask is, what are we going to make? What item is this recipe going to create? And it comes from a lot of different sources. The initial inspiration from me or another team member or fans, players, definitely. And once we have that initial idea, we still have to go, well, should this go in the game? We get some pretty wacky ideas. People want a robotic arm that has a flamethrower and shoots bunnies in engineering. So anyways, we asked, should it go in, or, it's just kind of a gut check to make sure it's going to be a good fit, and especially a good fit for Professions. Like, for example, you're not going to see Frostborn getting crafted by blacksmiths. It's probably going to drop somewhere in the, not that we're going to. And then once we know what it is, we just ask how good it's going to be. This is item level, item quality. Is it green? Is it blue? Is it purple? Is it legendary? And that's an important question to ask up front because it as you'll see, it actually affects most of the other decisions that we make. So now we've got our item. So we pick the materials that make up that item. And this step is super important because the materials really make it feel like you're crafting that item. You feel like you're wrapping the leather around the handle of the sword, you're putting the gems into the pommel, you're hammering out the blade. And so, that really helps out, just like I said, just like the feeling of actually creating the item. Additionally, like I said, why we picked item quality already is the materials have to fit the item quality. You just want to make sure that you have the same kind of time investment that you would if you're going to get it in other parts of the game. An exception to this are the crafter-only items, and those are generally a little easier to make. And then similar complexity. I think a good example of this would be like probably the engineering teleporter. Really complicated, has tons of pieces, kind of a pain to put together, but you do it once, and it really makes it feel like an actual complicated device, and that's cool, but something like sharpening stones, you're going to make tons of them, so they take like 1 to 2 reagents max. Okay, so we got our item, we know it's going to make it, and so we got to pick the skill to create the item. That includes the profession, which is usually a pretty obvious fit, but it also, the minimum skill. This is a one-to-one relationship for the most part with how good it is and the item level. So not really much to talk about there, but skill gain potential is where we have a lot more flexibility, and we're more organic. We can smooth out progression, or we can make it really hard in a spot. So that's skills. And then finally, so at that point we actually have the recipe, and we can just, we want to put it in the game. So we've got, as you can see, we have a lot of different ways to do that. World drop is really random. That's one of the ways we want you to be able to distinguish yourself as a unique crafter, because you're like, well, yeah, I got that world drop, or I paid a ton of money for it. But that's one of the things that'll make you different is not having everything on the trainer. And then like targeted monster drops, reputation, they're more focused, and they're just like kind of a guaranteed path that you have to put in the time for. So those are good too. Those are, they let you also shine as an individual and say, yeah, well, I got my exalted consortium and check out what I can make, versus the guy that just was like, well, I don't know, I can maybe make something. Trainer is your bread and butter, obviously. Quest allows us to give a little zing, a little pizzazz, kind of, introduce the recipe a little in a more fun way. And then finally, vendor. I'm just gonna touch on this one because I want to talk about some changes we're gonna make to that philosophy later. So that's how we put a recipe into the game. Pretty straightforward process. There's still a lot of thinking that goes into it, but 1,900 times, we got it down. So I want to talk about some things that we'd like to do more of with crafting, professions in general. Best in slot. Now this is your Deep Thunders, your Primal Strike, your Engineering Goggles, your Frozen Shadow Weave. The really good item for that 1 to 3 slots that only the profession, the person with the profession can use. This really gives you a feeling of pride and usefulness with your profession. So we've liked how that has worked out. We're going to keep doing that. We're going to add more, and we're going to be doing it for the other professions as well. So, like alchemy, it only has the stone right now. We're going to be doing alchemist-only potions and stuff like that. Create great leveling gear. So we want, when you're leveling up, we want the person who takes a little bit of extra time to level up their profession, or even just interact with someone who's leveled up their profession, to really have the best gear for going from 70 to 80. It doesn't mean that quest rewards are going to suck again. It just means that leveling gear, or the crafting stuff, is going to be really optimized and really great for that. And that'll help you, that'll help in that your skill ups can actually sell. So, and then last, we want to provide what's missing, and that's letting crafting fill in these itemization gaps that either we just ended up with because we didn't have enough places to put it in, or ones that we actually manufactured. And we're going to be doing more of that, because the more items that that people want, that only a crafter can make, the better that profession's going to feel. So that's going to help out a lot, we think. And some things to improve on. Engineering. Engineering is going to get some love. Anyhow, let me stick with my flow here. So, transmutes. Transmutes work out fairly well. A couple things though that aren't very cool. One of them is you only do your best transmute. You don't really care about the other ones. Actually, 3 things, because we have some bad transmutes too.